Hey, what's up friends, this is Metro and I wanted to make a short video about card Wraith versus gun Wraith. This is a question that has been coming up a lot. The meta has shifted a lot over the last few weeks and right now everyone is talking about card Wraith and how overpowered it is on really high rank. And while it is true that card Wraith is insane in coordinated team play, I just wanted to make a general video comparing the two and comparing when they're gonna be good, when they're gonna be bad. Both have their drawbacks and positives. There's quite a big difference between the playstyle of the two builds, so I'm gonna go over both and I'll give you my thoughts on what I run, what you should run, or what you like, and just the overall state of Wraith. So this is gonna be kind of a ramble, no script here. Excuse me if I repeat anything. I would love to have your input in the comments, so let me know if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions. Let's get into it, okay? So Wraith is gonna start off the exact same way, no matter if you play card Wraith or gun Wraith. You win your lane mostly by using your abilities. Of course, you're gonna shoot the enemy with your gun. The issue with Wraith's gun is that she does very low damage early on, okay? So in the laning, you're gonna use your gun mostly to secure last hits and to charge up your cards, and then you're gonna throw your cards. So if you look at builds of card Wraith and normal Wraith, mine or other players, they usually start out almost the exact same way. Starting off with some mystic items, some spirit items to start off ramping up the card damage more. And one ability that is almost always bought, or one item that is almost always bought, is extra charge. Because it gives you one extra card and that's just really valuable in lane. Mystic Burst also almost a must-have, because even on level 1, if you throw a card and you didn't level it up at all, it's gonna add that bonus damage to your card. Now some people like to go even harder into cards in lane, and they end up buying either Ammo Scavenger, Infuser, or both, and rush 4 purple items really early on. What Ammo Scavenger does, short summary if you don't know, as long as you deny or secure last hits on souls, you get stacking spirit power. And if you keep this active, it lasts for 30 seconds, you can get a maximum stack of 20 spirit power early on. Just to give you a comparison, in case you don't understand how ridiculously strong this item is, if you look at something like Improved Spirit, right, which is a 3500 item. Improved Spirit gives you plus 23 spirit power, right? And some other additional bonuses. For 3500. Now obviously you also get the 12 extra spirit power that you get with every spirit item, but compare this to Ammo Scav. Assuming you have full stacks on Ammo Scav, you get 20 or 24 spirit power for 500. All you're getting extra is like another 10 spirit power overall, not even. And you spend, if you do the math, you spend what? 7 times the amount, okay? So Ammo Scav is an insane item as well. And this is the same for card Wraith or normal Wraith, okay? So in lane, you're gonna have some mystic items, some spirit items to get your card damage up. And this is where the builds really start to deviate, okay? And I'll go into card first and explain to you the card playstyle that most people do. Once the lane is done, once you got the enemy tower or they got yours, you start deviating and you go for items that increase your spirit power overall, okay? The main scaling on card Wraith is the damage on the card, which scales with your spirit power, okay? Like there's other aspects of spirit power that increase your other abilities, like for example the cooldown on full auto. On Wraith, your movement speed scales with spirit as well, but most people rush more spirit power just to have more damage on cards. So that the first very big difference between the two playstyles is, on card Wraith, you will have more burst in the mid game and even in the late game, okay? You will do a lot of damage really, really fast. So I'm talking like the first 1 to 2 seconds of an engage, assuming you have maximum cards, you will deal more damage to the enemy. But after that, once you run out of your cards, you're gonna do significantly less damage to the enemy, and you will also be probably less sustainable and less tanky overall. And the reason being is that most card builds, or basically all of them, invest in the mid game, invest into more spirit power, an extra card with rapid recharge, surge of power on your cards to give even more spirit power, and not really a lot of lifesteal or defensive items, okay? Now, obviously you could run a spirit build with something like spirit lifesteal, but in practice, this is not really worth it, because even on Spirit Wraith, you're not gonna throw cards non-stop, okay? The way the fights are gonna go on Spirit Wraith is, you wanna engage, once you have max cards, you get a lift, you burst that target down instantly, or you get a lift on one person in a team fight, use your cards and then you sit back and try to sustain, and then your damage is really gonna fall off because, again, to recharge your cards you gotta do other damage, right? Which is your gun mostly, and you're not gonna deal gun damage very fast on Card Wraith because you're investing everything into spirit items, okay? Cards, way more burst damage and way stronger mid-game, because in mid-game the damage spike you get from buying Surge of Power and then improved burst rapid recharge is insane, okay? So you're gonna do more damage than a Gun Wraith in mid-game, and you're gonna have more burst in mid-game. But your damage is gonna fall off significantly in the later game, or in the later stages of the game. Reason being is, you can never get above 4 cards, okay? And once your 4 cards are expended, no matter how many items you have that increase your spirit damage, after that you will have to recharge your cards and then throw them again. There are items like Ricochet that people like running to recharge cards even faster, to add more sustain in the build, but overall I would say it is a more burst heavy playstyle. And as I said earlier, it probably is the better playstyle right now, okay, in the current meta. The meta shifts drastically, there's a really big patch every week, and the latest patch that we got last Thursday made it so bullet damage got nerfed by a lot. Reason being is a lot of items that used to give spirit resist now give bullet resist, like Frenzy, and also they in total buff bullet armor in general. Right? This got a major buff, improved bullet armor got a major buff. The meta right now is definitely focused around spirit damage. This can change any week when they change the balance of the current meta, but it is also not a bad idea to play off meta, because right now what a lot of people do is, especially on high level, they go into a game expecting a lot of spirit damage from the enemy team, and they buy a lot of spirit resist, like rushing spirit armor and playing against, or planning to play against spirit armor. And what ends up happening in the last week where I played Gun Wraith, not a lot of people really hard countered me, right? Like, of course, really good players are gonna look into your inventory during the game and see, oh, he's building gun damage, and then they're gonna go for something like metal skin to counter you. My point being is, both have their drawbacks and strengths. And a really big strength that gun damage has over card damage, or Gun Wraith has over Card Wraith in my opinion, is it is a way harder carry. If you want to be the main carry of your team, I think gun damage is still the way to go, okay? If you don't think your teammate can handle any carrying themselves, on card it's gonna look pretty rough, okay? Assuming even if you, let's say you are in a mid to late game fight and you go in and you get a lift on multiple people, you get a 3-man lift and you throw out your 4 cards. You're probably gonna kill 1 to 2 people, and then you either gonna end up dying or you're gonna get out, but after that your damage is really not gonna be high, right? Your sustain is not gonna be high. Whereas if you compare that to a Gun Wraith, you go in, you can get the same lift, probably kill 1 or 2 people as well, but you're gonna sustain way longer, right? With items like Vampiric Burst, Bullet Lifesteal, you're gonna stay in the fight longer, and your damage is gonna ramp up and ramp up. You're gonna keep on shooting, and there's never really gonna be a power spike, right? So on Spirit, I would say insane damage early on, and then it's gonna fall off during the fight. If the fight lasts longer than 5 to 10 seconds, which, don't get me wrong, that's a pretty long time actually in Deadlock. But if a fight lasts, the longer the fight lasts, the worse Spirit Wraith will get. Now, there is an insane combo you can do on Spirit Wraith, or Card Wraith, where you eventually rush something like Divine Kevlar and then go for Refresher, right? And then you go in, you initiate the fight with a Mass Lift, throw out your 4 cards, use Refresher, and do the exact same thing again. So you end up with having 2 Mass Lifts, 2 Mass Ultimates, and 8 cards, okay? And that's gonna still be insane damage, right? So don't take this from me saying you can't carry on Card Wraith. You can. Either way, the character Wraith is an insanely powerful late game carry. But there are positives to Gun Wraith as well. And one I think is you can scale to the hard carry position way faster, okay? So if you follow like an average gun build, what's going to happen is, again, your mid-game kill potential is going to go down a bit, your burst potential is going to go down a bit, but your farming potential is going to go way up, okay? You're going to farm creep camps insanely fast, and if you're efficient at farming the creep camps, you're going to suddenly spike in money, like really, really hard, right? And over the last week, again, I've tested both. I've played a lot of Card Wraith, and some fights I was like, wow, this is insane, this is like mega broken. And a lot of pro players would consider Card Wraith broken right now. So I would assume it's gonna get nerfed eventually, okay? Which brings me back to the point of this video. In the first place, you should go for what you like the most, okay? The main thing that I do not enjoy about Card Wraith myself is if you get caught out and you, like, let's say you farm some jungle camps and you ended up using your cards to farm the jungle. If you have to start a fight or you are forced to start a fight because the enemy ganks you and you don't have any cards, you're basically dead. You have nothing, right? If you don't have at least 2 cards ready, chances are the enemy is gonna kill you. You really have to micromanage more on Card Wraith. Like, always have some cards ready, which is gonna slow down your farming speed, right? And make sure that you have cards ready before you start the fight. Or start the fight off really slow, right? Where you sit in the back and kind of shoot them with your gun that is like does like no damage just to get card charged so that eventually you can contribute. Whereas on gun, you're always ready. You're always ready. Unless you use like just all cooldowns, and you're not gonna use your old cooldown, right, to farm a creep camp. But even if you use all the cards and you get caught out, you lift them and you point your gun at their head and they die, right? Which brings me to the thing that I would suggest you do. There's nothing wrong with following the meta, and right now the meta is spirit damage. But what I found right now to be working insanely well is a sort of hybrid build. And I know I have a hybrid build named right here. But my main build that I made a video about on my main channel, like it changes like basically daily, I update it daily for the meta. The main build I'm using right now is not really a full gun damage build. It focuses mostly on gun, but it has still some insane spirit damage in there, right? So what ends up happening is you get like the best of both worlds, right? Your gun is going to do insane damage. Your cards are still going to be useful, but you benefit from both, right? Now, obviously, you're not going to be the highest burst character and you're not going to be the longest sustain character. You're like somewhere in the middle, but you can plan, if you have the knowledge on how to play, you can plan around using it and you can change up items in order for what you need, right? So again, you start off the same way with cards on lane, and then you start by getting farm items. Fleetfoot is my #1 item for Wraith. It's insane. Some people like kinetic dash over it. I think this item is broken because you can shoot with no movement penalty. It's not even the active effect that makes this item broken. And then I still end up going Tesla most of the time, and I still get shit by everyone because everyone hates Tesla nowadays, but I think the item is great. But sometimes I just skip it and go Intensifying Magazine, and then I start farming the jungle, right? And I still end up buying some spirit items that work really well in Gun Wraith as well, right? Quicksilver Reload, probably best reload ability, or one of the best items for Wraith in general, because you can just reload every time you throw a card. Bullet Shredder Resist is going to give me the spirit damage, but it's also going to make it so when I shoot the enemy and I hit them with a card, they're going to take more damage from my gun, right? So really, this is not necessarily a card-only build, it's a hybrid build. And once I get to the point where I have an Intensifying Magazine and maybe Enduring Speed, I can then choose if I go Surge of Power or Headhunter, right? Headhunter, I'm going to do even more damage with my gun, but I could also just rush Surge of Power first and suddenly add a lot of card damage, and people don't expect it, right? Like if an enemy checks my inventory and I'm at the Intensifying Magazine and I assume I bought everything up until here, and they're gonna go, oh, he's a Gun Wraith, and then I suddenly buy Surge of Power, right? Or I end up rushing Refresher, or end up buying Divine Kevlar, which I don't have in here right now. That's in my hybrid build. Point being is, you can still change it up, right? Ethereal Shift, also an amazing item for Wraith. Use it a lot. It's super survivable, but it also gives you even more spirit damage. I end up buying Ethereal Shift over something like Escalating Resilience or Spirit Armor a lot, because it saves me actively. And again, after I come out of Ethereal Shift, I'll do insane damage with my cards, even though technically my build is a gun build. TLDR. Meta is going to change. Right now, cards are probably a bit better, but it really depends on your playstyle. Do you want to be really fast around farming on the map, be really efficient, and be like the mega DPS carry, and you want to do most of your carrying with damage? Or do you want to end up being the mid-game to late-game ganker that initiates fights, bursts people down, right? And has a lot of teamfight AoE stun abilities like Mass Lift, right? That's what it's going to come down to. I'm probably a bit biased because on a personal level, my Card Wraith is probably weaker than my Gun Wraith. I've played more Gun Wraith than Card for sure. But I just end up having more success, even on very high level games, which I play daily. I have more success with my gun. Go for what you like. And I hope that answered your question on what to use when. You can always swap around builds, right? Try to counter the enemy. If you realize the enemy is all like up your ass and buys Metal Skin, and all of them are countering your gun damage, there's no reason after Intensifying Magazine to not go Surge of Power, and then you can still, you know, go freestyle and suddenly add more spirit damage. Or go for, again, the refresher double mass lift, right? Diviner's Kevlar, where you get insane resistance and insane spirit power while using your ult. Yeah, that's about it. If you have anything to add in the comments, I would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, until next time, see you friends. Bye bye.